Hey everybody, it's Kathy here from Kathy Loves a Scrap, and I'm coming to you from the land down under with something a little bit different. Today I'm preparing for All About That Base No Trouble, using 20 base pages in 20 days with Ginger's Corner. She's doing that in November, so I'm prepping my pages using scraps. So we're going from scraps to pages or layouts ready to be used for November. So I used this recently in a layout, and these are the leftovers from that layout. So I'm going to pull them together into a prepped page ready to go, and who knows where it's going to take me come November. So I had a larger piece left, as you can see, and I have got two strips, one going with it horizontally and one with it going vertically, which I'm attaching down to the bottom here. And I'm just putting the straight edge to the straight edge. Now the other thing that we're allowed to have is one plain base for the bottom. Now the plain base can be your interpretation, I feel, given that I struggle with white as a base or a plain colour as a base. So all my layouts may or may not, if I am relying on a base, be a coloured piece to start with. So I'm just trimming this down so that I have two more 3x3 squares, which I'm placing into the corners because I have those two squares missing at the bottom. So I thought to put alternate squares opposite each other might be an interesting way to build this layout, and also to create a semi-type border. And I've put the two Oriental written language down into the opposite corners. So now I have those four corners filled up. With this piece that I have this one square of it, I'm going to cut it on the diagonal both ways. So now I have like a photo corner effect happening. And as you can see, I'm just playing with it because I'm not sure how I want it to go. If I go that way, I could put in one large photo, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to probably just go with my original idea and have them in the corner as a photo corner for the layout. So I'm putting those into place, and now the layout is looking like it is framed in a picture frame, and I could go with multiple photos under the corners. These are single-sided tape, that's double-sided tape, which is quite easy to lift if I need to. Now I had this little one left from when I just cut out there, but I'm just going to put it all aside. That's how I'm going to leave this page here. Quite simple, lots of potential. Don't know how it's going to go or where it's going to go. Won't know until I choose the photos to go on it. This one here is now from another page that I've recently done, using the pinks in that same paper range, and so I'm going to use up all of these bits and pieces to create this layout. Once again, I'm starting with a plain white background, and that's just a loose paper out of a page protector, the divider sheet, so I'm just using that as my base, and I'm just trimming off the branding strips and measuring it just to make sure that I had enough room to punch in a border. So I like that I can manipulate a larger piece of material to make a border. I don't like it just butting against each other. I like it to have a finish of some sort, and a punched border is always a good way to do that. I'm using a star one here. Once again, have no idea where this layout is going to take me. Using scraps up to make a base, not something I often do. Well, actually, I tell a lie. I do quite often use my scraps to create a base, but I don't leave them blank. I usually have a project in mind. So this is a bit of a challenge because A, I don't have any photos, and anyone who watches my videos knows that I like to work from the colours in my photos. B, I am doing mix and match and bringing them together. And C, I have no idea what the expectations will be as we venture into November. So I'm just prepping some bases, and I will play along as it goes. So I'm just going to take this little border here just to break it up and give it like a trim across the middle and give it a ledge. That might be a good belly band for the layout and for somewhere for the photos to sit. But then I'm looking at it, and I've got those banners that I've already cut from the side. I've got a bit more of this paper left, so I'm going to get a bit creative with it. I don't want to just have more strips on there, so I'm going to cut some circles from it. It is all scrap, so it would either sit in my scrap bin for 100 years and not be used, or I'd be gifting it somewhere, so I'm just using it up this way. So I'm cutting out some circles on it, which I'm going to put onto the layout. I love circles on a layout. They have, I don't know, just that special something that adds to every layout, and I love when I can use a circle on a layout. So I'm just placing them roughly. No idea, as I said, I have no photos to work with, so I don't know what it's going to look like. Obviously, I have used these colours, so I therefore had photos with colours, so I'm sure I will have photos with these colours somewhere in my stash. If not, I will take some in the next month or so, and they will find a home on this layout when it's complete. This is how easy it is to whip up a layout, and actually it's quite refreshing to do without worrying what it's going to look like. But let's add this element and add that element and see what we come up with. So I'm cutting in some fishtail banners just to marry up with the two that I already had left over from my previous layout. And I'm making 2 more, and that used up that scrap where the circles came out of. So now that's gone. That's another bit out of the stash. Perfect, on a layout, ready to be used. So I'm putting this circle here, and I'll play with the circles and move them around a little bit. And I actually have this watermelon coloured cardstock which marries nicely to the colours in this layout, and I'm going to prep it for a photo. This one's going to be a 6x4, and I'm assuming this one will be a 3.5 by 5.5. Yep, that's what I'm going to cut it to. That means I'm going to put 2, maybe even 3 photos, because I can have one that's not mounted. So that may be an option, I don't know, with a title. Yep, so I can go from there. Now I'm cutting down this strip that I had left, and I'm cutting it into 2x2 squares, and I'm also going to use some more of this stuff that I had left over, and I'm going to cut it too into 2x2s, and then I'm going to do some layering with these squares. And this is how I'm building up this layout from nothing and creating something that I hope will be effective when it's finished. And I'm just having a little play, making sure that I'm getting this into the right order of right order, as if I know if it's the right order. I don't know that it's the right order. I'm just hoping that it comes together in the right order. I'm going to tuck that circle in under what I will be a photo mat. Now remember, all of this is scrap. None of it is brand new. It's all scrap, and I'm just pulling it out of my stash that's sitting on the side of my desk, would you believe? So it's actually doing 2 things for me. It's getting some bases ready for the hop in November, but it's also using up all that scrap that just seems to accumulate from layout to layout. I've got these squares, and as I said, I wanted a layered effect, so I'm putting them there on top of each other, and they'll tuck in under, and it's giving some interest to that corner. I'll put that circle in place there, and now I'm going to layer up in and around the circles. So I'm just building that concept of layering and putting it in underneath elements, and I like how it's coming together. It's a bit different, it's a bit out there, but that's the idea of a base working from scratch, and hoping when we come to the end of it that it comes into something that is usable and workable. And remember, I can always lift things and move them around if I need to when it comes to it in the end, but I actually am liking how this is coming together. And so I'm just tucking in the rest of these little squares. They do add another visual element to the layout. Now, another important thing to remember is that we always seem to accumulate scraps of the tiniest piece, but there's always a home for them if you think creatively. So I'm just putting these squares overlapping at the moment, so that when I tuck it all in with photos, they will add more and break up all of those lines in this layout. So already I can see that this is going to be quite an effective layout. So this square I'm going to put in under here, just put a bit more visual contrast into those lines. The flowers just break up the pattern all the way across, and you can see over to the side I have got some already fussy cut leftover flowers, which obviously I'm going to put into this layout somehow. I'm just putting down this photo mat. Now I may, when I go to do this, reduce the photos even more and mount them on white to give them a lift or a break from that busy background. So that's possibly what I will do, or a lighter pink. I don't know, or maybe, I don't think I'd go gold, but I do think I would probably go white or a lighter pink to lift it up and break it up from that very busy background. But we'll wait and see when we get to the photos. I may even print the photos with a white border already, so I don't have to trim them down, and that would be another alternative that I could do. So I have got 3 flowers which I've placed around the borders, one on each of these, one on the big circle at the top, one on the bottom circle here, and they're covering up the joins of those squares, and then I have one up the top banner. Now I have got these extra little banners that I cut that I may or may not incorporate, which looks like I don't incorporate in this layout. And there you go, that's base number 2 done. A little bit of detail, a little bit of busyness, can be toned down with a white title, I believe, so I'll see how that ventures in November. Now for this last one, I have got some orange scraps that left over from a layout. I am using a base start, a plain base start. It does have a print on it. It is orange. It all falls in. I've had this base sitting around for I don't know how long, so I'm putting it to use. And I am just tearing the paper so that I get a different effect across there. I'm going to layer it over the top of each other so you can see that it's all going in on this layout. And because I don't want any scraps left over, I am not cutting out the center behind like I normally do if I'm using it on the layout. I'm just going with it as is. I'm going to tuck this one in behind, so now I have 2 layers happening. With the branding strip that I cut off, I'm also going to utilize that now, and I'm going to cut that in half so that I get it at the top and the bottom. I have this one piece here left over, so I'm going to put that in there. And the piece that I tore off, I'm also going to tuck in that top and bottom. So I'm going to layer it across the top and layer it across the bottom, and that's going to create a visual line for the eye. And I like the colours in this layout. We've got the purplies and the maronies colours, and then we've got the oranges and the whites for the contrast. So once again, this layout is going to be interesting to work with, finding photos that have those colours, because I really do always try to match my colours to my photos. That way the photos are the masterpiece of the layout. Now I just want to cut a little tiny fishtail banner into these white strips, just to add a little bit more detail to them. Now, as I say, when I go to use these, I will add things like flowers and die cuts and titles and photos, and it will make all the difference. And it's interesting to see, well, I will find it interesting to see how they eventuate into being final pages. So here's my first set of 3. I'm Kathy from Kathy Loves to Scrap, coming to you from the land down under. Check out the playlist below and all the players that are going to be playing along in November. Give me a thumbs up if you like this. So hit that subscribe button so you know when the next set of bases are being displayed. Leave me a comment. Give me some feedback. I really look forward to responding. Find me on all my socials under Kathy Loves to Scrap. Stay tuned to other videos. On Instagram, you'll find all my layouts, even those without videos. Thanks for watching once again. Happy scrapping till next time.